shout out to Demetrius Jones for tagging me in this story. And I'm actually very glad he tagged me in this because it looks like what I'm predicting, or what I predicted in a video I did a couple days ago involving Chicago and how they want to make 45 look like a savior, is about to come into fruition a whole lot faster than I anticipated. So apparently, according to this article that came from Fox News, and how ironic, Fox News would be the one that would jump or hit on this story. They said that an alleged leader of the Chicago's Black Disciples, known as Murder, and that's his street name, among several charged in federal gun probe. This is the guy right here in the picture. Now, apparently this probe that they have been doing on this group has been going on for a few years now. But how ironic do they make the drop on them the week after, or a couple weeks after they deploy federal agents, quote unquote, to Chicago, when they could have been gotten him if they really wanted to. Like I said, they're doing this to make 45 look like the hero and the savior because they want those votes. Because as it stands, right, virus, like I've told people before, I think this is going to be a very close election. This is something that I have talked about on panels where people have said that they thought it would be a landslide, that he will probably win the re-election, but now they think it's going to be a tight race. And they believe that this is going to be the move that they have in order to get votes. It's all a political thing. Ironically, like I said, why wait until an election year? If you knew that Chicago had all of this quote unquote crime, and based on from people what I've heard, they said it's been going on for years, why now? Why now? I'm telling you, it all goes back to it being an election year. When it's an election year, that's when they really want to do cleanups and sweeps and all types of stuff like that. And then once they get what they want, then everything goes back to business as usual. So I'm going to go ahead and read this article and see what else we can find out. The alleged leader of a Chicago street gang whose nickname is Murder is among 23 suspects charged with federal gun and drug offenses after a years-long investigation. Darnell Murder McMiller, age 34, is described as the leader of the Black Disciples, one of the city's largest gangs. Several other alleged high-ranking members were also charged, including members of the gang's Dog Pound faction. Clarence January, age 27, allegedly leads the subset. He is charged with trafficking 3 handguns. Kenneth Brown, age 59, supplied the gang drugs to be distributed throughout the city, and Charles Knight supplied drugs to McMiller's crew, the Justice Department said. Brown is charged with conspiring with 6 to distribute fentanyl-laced heroin to an informant in September 2019. Another man, John Ector, age 47, is charged with bank fraud. During the investigation into the sale of guns and drugs in Chicago's Inglewood neighborhood, authorities recovered 24 firearms and multiple amounts of cocaine, fentanyl, lace heroin, crack cocaine, ecstasy, and nearly $52,600 in cash. While there are many things that need to be done to help our city's violent crime problem, including job creations, providing strong education resources, and the like, one thing that every reasonable person can agree upon is that violent offenders need to be held accountable for their crimes. Does that include the ones who work in the department as well? Or just the ones that don't wear a badge, a uniform, and carry a gun, handcuffs, and a taser? Because do I need to reiterate what I talked about, which involving Chicago and many of those in the departments who have connections to the gang ties? By the way, I wonder how many in the Chicago PD have connections to this gang. I bet you they ain't going to investigate that. McMiller has been targeted by federal authorities for years. In 2013, he was charged with 3 counts of distributing a controlled substance. He pled guilty to 1 count and was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Lodge declined to comment when asked if the 2019 murder of Lawrence Big Law Loggins, the previous leader of the Black Disciples, impacted the investigation. Wednesday's announcement comes as federal agents have deployed to Chicago to tackle an uptick in violent crime, even though there is data out there that shows crime has been down over the last 4 years, but no one's talking about that. Authorities said Operation Legend, which authorizes the deployment of federal forces to cities to assist local law enforcement in curbing violent crime, will lead to more arrests. The influx of federal resources under Operation Legend, announced last week, fits squarely within this same strategy. to rid our neighborhoods of gun toters and drug traffickers in order to restore the rule of law and to help keep people safe. Looks like everything that I have said so far is starting to slowly come into fruition. The only thing that shocks me is how fast it's actually happening. I'm thinking that this was going to take a little while, but they don't need to drag this out because November's right around the corner. They need those votes. And what they really want is those black votes. That's what they really want. Because I be seeing the comments from people who are black and live in Chicago and saying it's about time that they finally did something, but people are not asking the right questions. And that right question is, why now? If you knew Chicago had this alleged bad problem for years, why do you wait until an election year to actually do something? Like, those are the kind of questions people need to be asking, but I'm seeing black people who never gave Trump any praise before praising him and saying they might even vote for him. Those who live in Chicago. I'm like, okay, but be careful what you ask for, because remember that people voted for him in 2016, and look at what's been going on for the last 4 years. Not saying that the other person would have did any better, or the person running against him right now would do any better. Like I've said before, either way, no matter who gets in, we are screwed. But it looks like what I predicted is starting to slowly come into the light. And something tells me that there will most definitely be more to come from this. This is not the end. This is just the beginning.